We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 42a. The Gemara here just finished saying that Shmuel holds the davar shein miskavin. If a person does not intend to solidify the metal of a kli, let's say he's pouring cold water into the keli in order to create lukewarm water. There was hot water in there and he's mixing cold water in there. If he's not intending to solidify the metal, so the Gemara continues here, mutter, it's not a problem. So the Gemara says, L'meimra de Shmuel Rabbi Shimon tzvirle. Do you mean to say that Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon, the davar shein miskavin is mutter? V'ho amar Shmuel, but Shmuel said a different place, Mechaben gacheles shel matchis b'rishas harabim, b'shvil shelo yizoku bar rabim. A person is allowed, let's say he has a metal coal that's burning, a metal flame essentially that's burning in Rishas Harabim, he's allowed to, on Shabbos, put out that fire in order that the public shouldn't be damaged. Avolo gacheles shel eitz, but he can't do it if it's made out of wood. So Rashi here explains the difference between metal and wood. Gacheles shel matchis shemashlichim lechutz psolas shel barzel, the lo shayach kibui b'hachim midoraisa. When you're talking about the psolas of barzel, that it's on fire, that's not kibui on a doraisa level. It's only also midrabanan. If there's a situation of damage to the public or potential damage to the public, there's no gezerah on an isur derabanan. When it comes to putting out a fire in a wooden, some kind of wood chip or something, that's chayav skila. We don't allow it. So the Gemara says, now, if you're going to say that Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon, afilu shaleitz nami, he should have been lenient even when it came to the fire that was burning on wood. Rashi here explains, afilu shaleitz nami dehol Rabbi Shimon melacha she'ena tzricha legufa pater aleh. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, just like Rabbi Shimon is lenient when it comes to davar she'ena miskavin, when you're not intending to do something, he's also lenient when it comes to a melacha she'ena tzricha legufa. Melacha she'ena tzricha legufa means you are intending, in this case, you're intending to put out the fire, you're intending to do the malach of kibui, but you're not doing it for the purpose of kibui. You're doing it for a different purpose. The chol kibui eino tzarich legufa. Rashi explains, really, anytime you put out a fire, it's considered eino tzarich legufa. Chutz me'ose pechamen o mahave psila. Except sometimes they would put out a fire in order to create better coals, or in order to create better wicks, so you'd actually put out the fire in order to light once again. That's the only kind of kibui that's malacha tzarich legufa. Otherwise, it's malacha she'eino tzarich legufa, and in this case as well. And malacha she'eino tzarich legufa, according to Rabbi Shimon, it should certainly be mutter in this case, because malacha she'eino tzarich legufa is not chayiv midorais, according to Rabbi Shimon. It would only be a derabanan, and if it's in order to avoid nezek to the rabbim, it should be mutter. So the Gemara answers very simply, b'davar she'ein miskavin savar like Rabbi Shimon. When it comes to davar she'ein miskavin, Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon. But malacha she'ein tzarich legufa, however, when it comes to malacha she'ein tzarich legufa, savar like Rabbi Yehuda, he holds like Rabbi Yehuda that malacha she'ein tzarich legufa is chayiv on a doraisa level, and that's why it's a problem even in a situation where it's a nezek for the rabbim. Amar Ravina says, Hilkach therefore coats b'rishus harabim. If a person has a thorn in rishus harabim, again it poses a danger. Molicho pachos midalet amos. The person can move it a little less than 4 amos each time he moves it to pick it up and put it down within 4 amos. That's only considered moving on a derabanan level, and again it's a nezek, so therefore you're allowed to, we're lenient, you're allowed to do a derabanan. Well, the karmelis afilu tuva. If the person's in a karmelis, he's not in rishus harabim with this coat, then it's an isur derabanan anyways, no matter how you move it. So again, it is mutter if there's a potential hezek to the rabbim. Gemara now continues, aval nosin v'chulu. That's a quote from the Mishnah. Now the Gemara brings a brisa which is directly relevant to the halachas of the Mishnah of placing chamin into tzonin and vice versa. The brisa says, Taner Rabbanan, we learned in a brisa, nosin adam chamin l'socha tzonin, v'lo tzonin l'socha chamin. Divrei Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai say that a person's allowed to put hot water into cold water, so the cold water is on the bottom. But a person cannot put cold water into hot water. That is more problematic. Rashi explains, Chamin l'soch tzonin de kasavar, because he holds tasa gavar. The lower thing is more mighty. The lower thing will overcome. Ve'ena chamin marsichin asat tzonin elam afshirin. When the hot water is on top, it's not going to cook the cold water. It's just going to create a lukewarm effect. But again, Beis Shammai hold that if the hot water is on the bottom, then you have a problem. Beis Hillel say bein chamin l'socha tzonin ubein tzonin l'socha chamin mutter. It doesn't matter which direction it is mutter. When did this machlokas take place? Because in a cup. Rashi explains, because you want to drink the water. Nobody wants it to get super hot when they're drinking. Furthermore, a cup is a klisheni. Again, a klisheni is an item that was not heated up directly on the fire. You had it heated up somewhere else, and you're pouring it into this secondary vessel, into this klisheni. Avo ba'ambati, but if it's in like a tub, chamin l'sochatzone, and then even Beis Hillel agree that you can put hot into cold, velo tzonin l'sochacham, but you cannot put cold into hot water. So in other words, when you're talking about an ambati, a large basin, a bath, like a bathtub kind of situation, then Beis Hillel agree that you have to be strict. You cannot put cold into hot water. Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh oser. And Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh say it's usher. Now, question exactly what Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh means. The Gemara initially thinks that Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh mean that it's totally usher, meaning even in this situation, no matter what direction, even in an ambati, no matter which direction you try to put the water in, whether it's hot into cold or cold into hot, they would Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh would usher in both directions. So Amar Rav Nachman, halacha Rav Shimon ben Manasseh. Rav Nachman said that the halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Manasseh. Again, right now we think that he's completely strict when it comes to an ambati. Savar Rav Yosef l'meimar. Now Rav Yosef thought to say safol harehu kambati, that let's say you have a basin, like a bucket, so it's a little bit smaller than an ambati. You have a bucket, so he thought that's the same thing as an ambati. Amar le Abaye, Abaye said to Rav Yosef, Tani Rav Yechia, that Rav Yechia taught safel eno kambati. It's not true. A safel has a din of a cup, it has a din of a kos, and we're more lenient than we are by an ambati. So the Gemara now asks, well, l'maid desalak adaita meikara, the safel hareo kambati. Now, according to what we originally thought, that we are strict by a safel, by a bucket, just like we are by an ambati. And Rav Nachman said before that the halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Manasseh, that we're always strict by an ambati in whatever direction. That's what we think he meant. Ella b'Shabbos rechitza b'chamin leka. According to that, it's going to come out that you're never going to be able to bathe in warm water on Shabbos. And Rashi explains what's the big difficulty. So first of all, safal hareo kambati. This was according to the Havamina that a safal is like an ambati. V'af agav de klisheni, even though it's a klisheni, hoel v'lav l'shasiya, since it's not for drinking purposes. Ela l'rechitza, it's for washing. Asiri, it's aser d'nicha le'shechamu harbe v'gazrinan. He wants it to get very hot, and there's a gezerah. But the Gemara says if that's the case, Ela b'Shabbos rechitza b'chamin leka. If you're going to say that we hold like Rav Shimon ben Manasseh, and we're also strict that a safal is just like an ambati, you're never going to be able to bathe in hot water on Shabbos. And the Gemara says, and Rashi says, bitmiya, that would be a wonder. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, it doesn't matter what direction, even if the hot water is going into the cold water, it's aser. Lo mashkachas chamin shehuchmu va'afilu me'erev Shabbos. You're never going to have a situation where water was warmed up, even erev Shabbos. Shelo yutzrichin lahafik resichasin. You're always going to need to cool it off a little bit. If you boil up water for a bath, you're always going to need to pour cold water in at some level. You're never going to have a situation where you can't even wash your hands, your face, your hands, and your feet with warm water. And we saw before many opinions that you're certainly allowed to do that. So the Gemara says you're incorrect in what Rav Shimon was saying. Mi sa'av Rabbi Shimon ha-seifakoi. Do you think Rabbi Shimon was going on the seifa? He was not going on ambati. For sure, when it comes to an ambati, certainly if you do chamin l'soch tzonin, it's perfectly okay. Rabbi Shimon never argued it by an ambati. Rather, a reisha koi, he was going on the reisha, right? In the reisha, when you're talking about a cup, so there, Beis Shammai said you're totally strict. It doesn't matter what direction. And Beis Shammai said you can do chamin l'soch tzonin, you can't do tzonin l'soch chamin. Beis Hillel said you're totally lenient in that case. So Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh was going on that. It said Beis Hillel matir, when it comes to a cup, Beis Hillel is totally lenient. Bein chamin l'soch tzonin uvein tzonin l'soch chamin, whether the hot water goes into the cold, whether the cold goes into the hot. Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh oser tzonin l'soch chamin. Essentially, Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh said, I agree with Beis Shammai. I agree that tzonin l'soch chamin is a problem by a cup. So it would emerge, according to this reading, you have a machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in the beginning of the Mishnah by a cup. Rav Shimon ben Manasseh concurs with Beis Shammai's view that chamin l'soch tzonin is okay and tzonin l'soch chamin is not okay. And then when we move to ambati, everybody agrees you should make a distinction between chamin l'soch tzonin and tzonin l'soch chamin. The Gemara now asks the obvious question: Leimo Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh d'amar Beis Shammai. If you're going to read it that way, are we going to say that Rav Shimon ben Manasseh holds like Beis Shammai? So the Gemara says, Hachi Kamar, no, here's what it means. Lo nechliku Beis Shammai Beis Hillel b'davar zeh. Rav Shimon ben Manasseh isn't saying, I hold like Beis Shammai over Beis Hillel. Rather, Rav Shimon ben Yochai is saying there never was a machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in this situation. He's arguing on what the Tanna Kama said. The Tanna Kama said there is a machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel when it comes to a cup, and Rav Shimon ben Yochai disagrees. He says everybody agrees by a cup to the position that you originally thought, that we all thought was only Beis Shammai's opinion. Really, everybody agrees to that opinion. Amar Rav Huna Breder Rav Yoshua. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yoshua, said, "Chazino le Rava delo kapid amona." I saw that Rava was not so concerned when it came to kalim, warming them up in this fashion. Midutani Rabbi Chia, because he followed what it was taught in the Brisa by Rabbi Chia. Nosen adam kiton shel mayim l'soch safel shel mayim. A person can take a smaller jug of water and put it into this larger bucket of water. Bein chamin l'soch tzonin, uvein tzonin l'soch chamin. It doesn't matter if it's hot into cold, doesn't matter if it's cold into hot. You take this flask and you can put it in either direction. And he held of this kula. So Amar le Rav Huna Rav Ashi. Rav Huna said to Rav Ashi, "Dil mashani hasam demifsa kli." 1 second. That brisa isn't saying you can pour the water. That brisa seems to be saying you can take the flask and put it into the bucket. There you'd have a separation of a kli. Maybe there everyone would be lenient, but that's not a reason for Rava to derive from that brisa that you can pour the cold water into the hot water and vice versa. So he said to him, Amar le, so Rav Ashi said back to Rav Huna, Ma'ara itmar. Actually, the way that you should read that brisa is using the word pour, using the word Ma'ara, and you should read as follows, Ma'ara adam kiton shel mayim l'soch safel shel mayim. A person can pour a flask of water into a bucket of water, bein chamin l'soch tzonin, whether it's hot into cold, bein tzonin l'soch chamin, whether it's cold into hot. The Gemara now continues with the Mishnah. Ha'ilfis v'ha'kedera. Let's say you have a frying pan or you have a pot. Shehaviron merusachin, that you took them off the flame, so they're boiling hot. Lo yitein l'sochan tavlin. You can't put in those things spices. Rashi explains here. Shehaviron min ha'or. You took it off the fire. Merusachin bein hashmashas. It was boiling at bein hashmashas and you took it off. Lo yitein l'sochan tavlin misha techshach. Once it becomes dark outside, you can't put spices in there. The chli rishon, because this is a chli rishon, calls man shirasech mevashel. The entire time that a chli rishon is boiling hot, it cooks, and therefore it is problematic. And we will continue with this Mishnah on Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis in the next video.